Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we're going to do a review for Plumber VR, a game that was an Oculus exclusive but now has come to the Steam store on January 21st, 2021. It's by developer Milton. It's available for the Valve Index, HTC Vive, and the Oculus Rift. It normally retails for $5. It's currently on a release sale, $4.24, and I actually got this on the Oculus Rift store during the recent winter sale for $1.50. Plumber VR is a puzzle game, and it's very similar to the mobile plumbing puzzle games where you basically have to figure out how to connect the pipes to make the water flow correctly. I tested this game out on the Oculus Quest 2 using the Oculus Link cable. Plumber VR is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting a pretty steady 90 frames per second, although I did notice a few dips here and there. It was nothing major. I did not experience any issues or bugs while playing this game. I personally would have liked to see more options available in the settings. The only options is whether to turn the music on or off, or whether to play the game seated or not. So you can play this game seated, and in the video that I recorded, I'm only showing seated gameplay, and it does play very differently if you play seated versus whether you play in your room scale, so be aware of that. I do believe that room scale play is the intended way to play this game, and I say that because the pipes are just more easier to connect when you're playing this game in a room scale setting. Unfortunately, my play space just isn't really big unless I move to a different room. I just didn't feel like doing that for this game, so I played seated. However, you'll see that when you play seated, you have like magnet hands, and then you have like little directional arrows which tell the game how to lay the pipe. So with the little arrows, you can twist the pipe around however you need in the 3D space. However, when you have it in your hand, it's just much quicker to do that. So some of these puzzles are timed, and it's just much easier to do that when you have a room scale setup. And the puzzles do start out a little easy, but they soon get pretty difficult, as you'll be doing some of these puzzles in the dark. And once you start the level, the timer starts right away, so you don't have much time to prepare. You have to look quickly to see which pipe pieces are on the ground and how to fit them to make the water flow correctly. And since it's in the dark, you just have to look right away, start putting them together right away. You hardly have time to think. I do think the timer goes a little bit too fast on some of these puzzles, especially in the dark, especially with the timer just starting right away. You barely have time to get your bearings and the clock is already ticking. So for that reason, there were a few puzzles that I felt were a little unfair, just because you're barely getting your bearings and the clock is already ticking and you have so little time to then put all the pieces together, especially when you're playing in a seated mode. It almost felt like you had to memorize exactly how to put the puzzle pieces together just because you have so little time, and I was able to complete the puzzles even seated. But I could definitely tell that this game would have been much easier if I'd have played in a room scale setup. Keep in mind, only certain puzzles are timed. The majority of them are not timed, but the ones that are timed are a lot more difficult than the untimed ones. There are 100 total puzzles in this game, which I do feel is a good amount of puzzles given the price for this game. I personally was able to finish 25 of those puzzles, and I did enjoy the gameplay, but I definitely felt, you know what, I'm playing seated, but I don't think I can complete this game if I keep playing seated. So I definitely recommend, if you're interested in this game, to have a room scale setup. Otherwise, you might be frustrated trying to complete some of these puzzles because they are quite difficult when you have to set the pipe pieces in a certain way, and that's just much easier when you can physically do it in your hands in your play space versus having to deal with the little directional arrows on the pipes when you're playing in seated mode. Also, playing seated, I got the wrong pieces at times. Overall, I did enjoy the quality of the puzzles. They were quite challenging and I liked them, but definitely this game is not geared for seated play. It does work, but just barely in my opinion. Also, the puzzles did tend to just generally get a little bit more difficult, with pipe pieces that were just a little bit more complicated to put in. It really tests your spatial skills. For a strictly puzzle game, this game does look better than most puzzle games. However, the environments are a little bland. I would like to see a little bit more variety. Also, the music could have been better, but as far as the puzzles, I thought they were excellent, and that's why I am recommending this game, especially if you are a puzzle fan. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. If you liked my review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.